Good morning, everybody. In this video, we'll be talking about the body paragraphs of the argument essay. Last week, we touched on the introductory paragraph, mainly on the thesis statement, I might add, and I believe the thesis statement is one of, if not the most important components of this essay. I believe everybody now should know how to write a strong or a good thesis statement for the argument essay. The other thing we touched on was the counter argument and refutation. We've done a lot of practices on these as well. So I really hope that there should be no questions regarding the counter argument and refutation. But again, if there are any from anybody, please feel free to approach me should you need my assistance in regards to the counter argument and refutation. So today in this video, I want to solely focus on the body paragraphs. Basically, everything is all the same, everybody, right? The only differences are the thesis statement and the addition of the counter argument and refutation, right? So the body paragraphs for the argument essay are pretty much similar to the previous types of essay that we learned in the past. Okay, so in the body paragraphs, all you need is a topic sentence. Okay, you need a supporting information. Concluding sentence is not necessary, but I suggest that you have one so that your body paragraph ends well. Okay, all right. All right, so what do I want to talk about here with the body paragraphs? It's pretty simple. I want to touch on what kind of information you want to use in your body paragraph. Now, I have mentioned that you have the freedom. You have the freedom to include any information you want, you wish, as long as it is related to your topic sentence. It is supporting your topic sentence. So you can talk about the effects, you can talk about the benefits, you can talk about the results of it. You can talk about anything. You have the freedom just as long as you believe the information you put in each body paragraph supports the topic sentence and you believe it is strong enough to convince the readers to believe or to take your side of the argument. Okay, yeah, so there are a few things that I would like to guide you through when it comes to adding information into body paragraphs. Okay, maybe these tips can make your body paragraphs better, especially for argument essay. That is the focus of today's video. So without further ado, let's get straight into that. Okay, so we've already gone past the the thesis statement, the counter argument and refutation. So I would like to focus solely on the body paragraphs. Okay. Wait a minute. Before moving on to the body paragraphs, I would like to touch on the concluding paragraph just a little bit, everybody. Okay, so again, everything is the same. Okay, you have your summary of the body paragraphs, you have your restatement of the thesis statement. I believe everybody knows how to do this really, really well. But the final comment for the argument essay, I believe I've said this before, your final comment has to stay on your side. Okay, so for example, if your essay is about agreeing with the topic, then your final comment should also be something that persuades someone to agree with your opinion as well. Understand? Okay, so unlike the compare contrast or cause effect where you can say whatever you want in the final comment, it doesn't matter. But in the argument essay, you have to stay on your side. Okay, so if you say school uniforms should be banned, then in your final comment, you have to say something like, I believe that everybody should have the right, okay, to wear whatever they want. So a final comment has to agree with your thesis statement, with your purpose of the essay. Okay, you cannot pick sides in your final comment. All right, so please keep this in mind. So the only thing that I want to focus on in this video, I've said this a couple of times already, is how you can support your reasons, which is in your body paragraphs, right? So how do I support my reasons in my body paragraphs? Okay, now I believe you have the freedom to do it. You can say whatever you want, but there are also some things that might help you. okay, when it comes to adding information into your body paragraph so that they can clearly and relevantly support your topic sentence. All right. So again, strong essays consist of reasons supported by evidence. Reasons can be thought of as the main point supporting your claim or thesis. Often they are the answers to the question, why do you make that claim? Right. So that is the question that you need to keep in mind when you are trying to support your reason. Okay. For example, your topic is about school uniforms, and then your thesis statement is school uniforms should be banned. Okay. So now think of a topic think of a topic sentence. You may say school uniforms should be banned because they do not express, okay, individuality in students. If that is your claim in your body paragraph, you have to ask yourself, how can I support this claim? Why do I believe making people express individuality is something strong enough to convince people to ban school uniforms? Okay, so whenever you have a topic sentence, the question that you need to answer is, why do I make this claim? Why do I believe my topic here, my topic sentence here in my body paragraph is convincing? Okay, and then you have to think of reasons. Okay, you have to think of reasons to support your claim as to why you believe this point is strong enough to convince people to ban school uniforms. You know what I mean, everybody? All right. Okay, so how can you support your reasons in your body paragraphs? It's pretty simple. Firstly, you need to use facts. Okay, sometimes you may use some facts. Sometimes you may use statistics to support your claim. Sometimes you may use authorities. Okay, sometimes you may use anecdotes, which is your personal story or a made-up story. You may use scenarios. You may create certain scenarios to explain or to support your claim. Okay, or you may create cases, right, that you believe can be used to support your claim or your reason in your body paragraph, or textual evidence. Okay, right, so these are the things that you can do to support your claim in each of your body paragraphs. Okay, for example, you can say school uniforms should be banned because they cannot express students' individuality. According to this website, 90% of the students have voted to ban school uniforms because they feel like their freedom has been oppressed. Okay, the freedom of wearing has been oppressed by schools, something like that, right? Okay, so again, you may use statistics, you may use authorities, you may use anecdotes, you may create your own scenarios that suit your claim, or you may create cases, okay, that you believe can be used to make your claim stronger, to convince people. All right, that is the kind of supporting information you may need in your body paragraphs of an argument essay. So for your since you are a college student, okay, I believe you may have to gather some information from the internet. Okay, we cannot really avoid this because again, right, you are given the opportunity to do some research on the topic that you would like to write about. So you have the opportunity to go to the internet and look for information. Okay, but but if you take a certain information from a website or some sources, then you have to properly introduce it. Okay, number one, you have to introduce it properly. Number two, you have to explain why this piece of information is important to explain my point. Okay, right. So this can be quite confusing to understand, but overall it wants you to pay attention to the information you put in your body paragraphs. If you take the information from the internet, make sure you introduce this information properly. All right, which leads me to another point about in regards to your body paragraphs, and that is how you should avoid plagiarism. And I said it again. Okay, you are given the opportunity to go to the internet and do some research. There are chances where you accidentally add information from other sources without giving references. Now, using the information from the internet and giving opinion is not the same. When you take the information from the internet, okay, you may paraphrase it, you may change the words, you may change the structures, but it's not your own opinion. Okay, you are still stealing information from the internet. Okay, you may use the different words, you may use different structures, but the meaning of that is still the same. Okay, so technically you are still plagiarizing, okay, that information. So again, opinion is something that you already have your prior knowledge on. All right, okay, you don't have to do research, you don't have to look for anything to come up with that idea when you give opinion. Okay, for example, you may say school uniforms can should be banned, okay, in schools, in public schools, for example. So if you give opinions, it's where you have to give your prior knowledge, your own understanding of this topic, okay, to write. You're not taking information from the internet, paraphrase it, put it in your sentence and say it's your own. Understand? It's not the same. All right. Okay. So quoting. Okay, quoting is where you know, is where you take a piece of information from the internet, but instead of paraphrasing it, you copy the exact same sentence from the internet and use it as your own without, okay, without being considered as plagiarism. Okay, so how are you going to do that? It's pretty simple. Firstly, you have to use this style of writing. Number one, according to the name of source person or website. Okay, according to uh, J.K. Rowling, right? Or according to WHO, according to this website. Okay, and then you put the exclamation marks, so not the exclamation marks, the quotation marks. Okay, to mình cái nào, right? You put the quotation marks and then you put the exact same sentence that you copy from the internet. Now, that is what we call quoting. Okay, that is what we call quoting. All right. Okay, according to this, based on that, quotation marks, and then you put the exact same sentence that you take from the internet. It's not considered as plagiarism. However, okay, oh yeah, another one. According to Mark Benner, the use of plastic has increased by 25%. Right? Yeah, so something like this. So you put the quotation marks. Now this is not yours. You acknowledge that it is something you have taken from the internet. But remember, I do not recommend that you use too many quotes in an essay. One or two at most should be okay. But do not use many quotes, too many of them in one body paragraph. In your entire essay, you should have at most two. Okay, at most two quotes. All right. Okay. So again, pay attention. Okay? So again, quoting, it's not the same as, even if you look up on the internet and you see the use of plastic has increased by 25%, you want to use it as an information in your essay, it's not considered as yours. Understand? Again, opinion is something you come up with, something you already have a prior knowledge on, so that you can think of what to write without having to look up anything. That's opinion. Understand? Yeah. So in your body paragraph, you may have some opinions, and then you use quoting or some other ways to strongly support your opinion on the matter. The other one is paraphrasing. Now we have come to paraphrasing. Even though you are paraphrasing the words, you still have to cite. Understand, everybody? You still have to introduce, okay, the information properly too. You cannot just paraphrase something you find on the internet and consider it as your own. It's not how it works. All right. Okay. If you take something from the internet, same meaning, change the word, change the structure, it's not your own. Okay, it's not your own. So that's why in a body paragraph, sometimes it feels like you are just putting information brick. It's like a chunk of information stacked on top of each other. It's not personalized enough. It's because you are finding information from the internet, paraphrase it, put it in your body paragraph, and consider it as your own. Okay, give opinion first, and then go and find some strongly supported statement from the internet, and you may use one of these styles to source it, to cite it in your essay. For example, based on what Mark Benner said, more and more people have utilized plastic for over 25%. Okay, this is something you need to keep in mind. everybody. Right, so look at the first one. According to Mark Bennett, the use of plastic has increased by 25%. Again, this is something that I took from the internet. It's not mine. So if I want to paraphrase this statement, I still have to acknowledge it. I still have to say where I take this information from. Okay, but the way I say it, the way I write it is different. Okay, but it's not mine. Understand? So please learn to distinguish between opinions and taking information from the internet. If you take something from the internet, you either use quoting or you paraphrase it, but you still have to acknowledge where you take that from. Okay. The other one is the grammar for writing. So obviously in your body paragraphs, you may have to give a lot of opinions. Okay, so words like these can make your opinion stronger or lesser. So a modal verb such as can, could, might, may, must, or should can change the tone of the writer's opinion. Okay, right. So words like might, okay, can make the opinion seem less convincing. Words like must can makes your opinion seem more convincing. For example, this usually happens in a counter argument or refutation where you have to raise up an argument from other people. So it's best that you make that counter argument a little bit weaker, something that you can rebut to easily. So some people might disagree and say the only academic subject should be taught at school. This shows that these people are not really sure, right? They might disagree, but they are not completely 100% sure that they completely disagree. Okay, so when you use words like might, okay, it makes this argument weaker. So now you can make your refutation stronger by using words like must, right? However, non-academic subjects must not be neglected. Okay, so now again you make your refutation stronger than the counter argument. Again, you can use some of these words in your body paragraph here and there. Okay, so to indicate opinion, strong opinion or weak opinion. Okay. The other one is avoid faulty logic. Like I said, you may have to give opinions a lot in your argument essay, especially if you have to write an oral test. Okay, in an oral test. So if you have to give opinions in an argument essay, we can easily fall into one of these faulty logics. So what do I mean by that? Let us go through this quickly. First of all, our arguments or our opinions have to be logical, okay, in order to convince readers to agree with our viewpoint about the topic. So you have to avoid these faulty logics, such as number one, event-related sequence. It means when one event happens, it doesn't mean that the other happens because of it. For example, Henry went to the football game and then he had a car accident. Therefore, football games cause traffic accidents. Okay. Sometimes when you make this claim, it falls into the event-related sequence. It's not correct. Understand? I mean, it's illogical. Okay, you cannot say just because this happens, it is the cause of this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you give opinions, think about this. Okay, am I making a related sequence here? Am I making an illogical evidence here? Okay, does it make sense if I say that? You cannot. You sometimes your opinion can fall into one of these categories. The other one is appeal to authority, which means that you may know a famous person or an influencing person and you use that person as an evidence to support your viewpoint. Okay, yeah, for example, my favorite singer Taylor Swift says that this water brand is the best, so this must be true. No. Okay, Taylor Swift is a singer. She's not an expert in water brand. Okay, she knows nothing about water. Just because she has influences, just because she is famous, we tend to go towards her as a clear evidence for everything, right? Just because a person is famous doesn't mean that that person is a credible source for you to use to support your statement or to give opinions on anything, unless that person is an expert in that field. Okay? Yeah, so Taylor Swift has nothing to do with water, so she cannot be a credible source. So now you're just being biased towards this influencing person. Okay? The other one is sweeping generalization. It's where you believe that this rule applies to all. Okay, you may use words like everyone, all, always, never. Okay, these words are just too broad. They cannot be supported. Understand? So if you say all teenagers are always irresponsible, it's not correct. Okay, you cannot say all teenagers are irresponsible. Okay, obviously some or most, but not all. Okay, so if you use a word like all or every, that means you refer to everybody. Okay, you don't do that. If you refer things to everybody, it means you just generalize the information. Your opinion is being considered as a sweeping generalization. So no, you don't want to use words like these in your body paragraphs. Okay, when you give opinions. The other one is hasty generalization. This is similar to the previous one, but making judgments or forming conclusions based on insufficient evidence or information. This can be because of personal biases. For example, a woman is driving through a small town. She passes three cars, all of which are white pickup trucks. She says that everyone in her town drives with white pickup trucks. So just because you see a few people do it doesn't mean that everybody does it. Understand? Yeah, that's what hasty generalizations is. So, for example, you want to give this evidence to support your claim, and then you raise up. Well, I see some of my neighbors blame their children for not wearing school uniforms. Therefore, school uniforms are, you know, a good measurement, whatever, right? So again, you cannot use a couple of people or a couple of evidences and refer to all. Okay, you don't have enough. You have insufficient evidence. Loaded words is where you lean toward your emotions rather than yeah, then being logical about the argument. Now I also mentioned about using your feelings whenever you give your refutation, but it's not the same as this one. For example, you say our product makes you feel more joyful. Their product is full of chemical substances. Now this obviously you're just attacking that person for no reason. Okay, you say that this person is bad, it's negative, it's this or that. No, that's not how you refute. Okay, when I say refuting with emotions, you do so in a logical way, in the correct way. Okay, you don't attack a person. You don't say that their opinion is absolutely violent, or their product, their thinking is a fool's thinking. No, you don't attack that person personally. Okay, yeah, so avoid using your feelings of attacking a person in your refutation, but you still should use feelings when you refute, but you do so politely. Okay, for example, you say some people may disagree that a death penalty is not a good idea. Okay, and then if you use your emotion, you may say, well, these people are animals. You cannot say something like that, right? If you want to use feeling, you may say, I agree that death penalty can be cruel, but okay, but it's important for people to consider that criminals deserve what they did to their victim, something like that, right? You don't personally attack the person. The other one is either or, which means that if it's like a black and white argument. Okay, if it's not this, then it must be that, right? If it's not bad, then it must be good. Okay, you don't use arguments like this in an argument essay. Okay, you don't say if it's like this then it must be that. No, there are limits. Okay, you cannot say if students don't wear uniforms then they must be bad. No. Okay, just because they don't wear uniforms doesn't mean that they are bad. Understand? So it cannot just be black or white. Understand? Right. So we have other options. We have more colors. Internet can be good or bad for some people. No, there are middle grounds. Okay, internet can be good for some people. It can be bad for some people. It can be neutral for some people. Okay, it cannot just be black and white. Okay, yeah. So these are the things that I would like you to pay attention to when it comes to adding information in your body paragraphs. Okay, it's again, you have the freedom to do it, but when adding information in, you may use some quoting. You may use opinions a lot and then support your opinion with your paraphrasing or quoting from the internet, but do not copy the information from the internet. Use your own words, your own structure, and say it your own. Okay, like I said, opinion is something you come up with on your own without searching for it. All right. Okay, but as along the way, when you give your opinion in your body paragraph, support, you can say about, you can write about anything. It's up to you, but avoid the faulty logic here. Okay, that I've just mentioned. All right, so I believe that is the end of the video. I'm very sorry that I'm a bit rushing through this. So again, if you have questions regarding any points here, please let me know. Thank you.